we are going to swatch the Schmincke granulating, super granulating colors. This is a 50 dot card that I discovered on Amazon. We're going to go ahead and swatch these out. The first one, and here's my complaint with Schmincke, and you'll see it right here. Their dot cards are so small. The amount of paint on the dot card is so small that you really have to struggle to even get an accurate representation of what the colors look like. So the first color is Volcano Yellow. You certainly can't see that granulates, and you can barely get enough. And it's so weird. There's some larger dots, and there's some that barely have anything, like this one. And this is my problem with Schmincke. I have their other dot cards, and I had the same problem. With Daniel Smith's, you can actually make a swatch card. You can take one of these, and actually there's enough paint to do one of those and to actually try to paint something, but not with these. These are strictly barely enough to make, to see the actual colors. I really thought the granulators would be different because you really need to be able to see the granulation, so I thought maybe they would give us a little extra, but not so far. This is Volcano Red. That was Volcano Orange. I'm not going to go through all the pigment information because that would just take forever. Now, this is a decent swatch, at least to give you enough idea what the color's going to do. These are the Volcano series. I think that's their newest ones, at least as of this dot card. Let's just dab them ahead of time, maybe. Maybe that'll help. Here's Volcano Violet. So far, I am not impressed with the Volcano series. It's Volcano Brown. This is apparently the Desert series. This is Desert Yellow. I am cleaning my brush between colors. Do you see the dots just do not soften very well? Even wetting them like that. Desert Orange. Get some more water. And with the granulators, you need a lot of water anyway, so, but you can see it's barely coming off the page there. There's the brown, Desert Brown. You see I've got it on an angle, so we're going to get some mass tone in here if we're lucky. Okay, this is Desert Green. Let's wet this one ahead of time too. Desert Green. Now that might be a nice one. Let's see. Really get that. That does seem like that's going to granulate some. Desert Gray. Again, it's hard. Now that one's definitely granulating there. The brown is looking pretty too. Let's go back into the violet and just work it a little more now that it's wetter. So maybe we need to just spritz these ahead of time. Maybe that's how their dot cards work. So let's do that. Just spritz each one and try to control where the water goes. All right. Okay. All right, this is Galaxy Rose, or Rose Galaxy. Now that's a nice swatch right there. It's going to come all the way down here. That's fine. Still have to work at it. Okay, let's try to keep it from coming over here. This is Galaxy Violet. And they don't tell you the colors that these are made up from on the swatch card. But from what I've seen from my research, they're very simple combinations of color. This is Galaxy Blue. Got it a little wet there. See what happens with that. That's the blue coming over in there. I'm trying to keep these as wet as I can because you really need these to be wet to see the granulation. This is Galaxy Brown. Galaxy Black. And the brush I'm using to soften these is quite soft. To loosen these pigments is a Princeton Neptune, so it's a soft brush. Tundra. Here are the Tundra colors that I've been interested in. Try to keep them separate from the Galaxy colors. Tundra Orange, Tundra Pink. This was one I was interested in. Tundra Violet. This was one I was very interested in. It looked really pretty when I researched this on YouTube. So let's hope it turns out really. Here is Tundra Blue. That's a nice generous dot there. So the dots are sporadic. Some are large and some are barely there. I need some kind of uniform method of doing the swatch cards a little better. I'd say this is a pretty color though. I like this one. Tundra Green. Don't mix in there. We're starting to get some granulation showing up though. That's good. Trying to add a lot of water. Here's the Deep Sea series. This is Deep Sea Violet. That's a nice one. Deep Sea Indigo. It's not so great. Little tiny swatch on that one. Little tiny dot, I should say. Pretty color though. Hardly enough pigment to actually tell what it's going to do there. Deep Sea Blue. That's a generous dot. That's a nice color. It looks like a cross between a cerulean and a cobalt color. Here's Deep Sea Green, which is a turquoise. Not too much water. Again, a really small dot, so you can't really tell much from that. These are starting to granulate some though. And Deep Sea Black. Glacier colors. So let's spritz those. Here's Glacier Blue. Glacier Turquoise. I'm really not seeing much granulation happening over here. A little bit with the Tundra Violet. Let's go back in there again. See if we can pull out some more color in here. Make these do better now that they've been sitting a while. Let's try this one again. I do like this one. This, I don't know what in the world I'd use it for. Kind of, it's like a dark version of Potter's Pink, really, that one. Let's do this one some more. Let's do Galaxy Blue some more. Galaxy Brown. Just trying to get these to granulate some more. Galaxy Black. There's not enough on there to show anything really. Let's go back up here. This is kind of nice, this Volcano Brown. Let's try making it more interesting. You know, with granulating colors, the more you play with them, the better they're going to granulate. So going back into them is probably a good idea. This one doesn't have enough pigment on the swatch to go back into it really though. See, there's barely anything there. Let's do the Volcano Red. It's unusual to have a granulating red or a granulating yellow, so those are kind of interesting. Volcano Orange. Can't pull anything down from that. Bottom line is, I think it's not worth your money to buy the swatch cards, honestly, because they're not inexpensive. So there's the Desert Green. All right, we'll try. It's a shame. I really wanted to try this, the Desert Green. But let's try the Desert Gray again. To the Glacier Green. Glacier Brown. Those are moving a little better. That's good. So I guess the key is you have to pre-wet them. And then use a lot of water on top of that. This is Glacier Black, I guess. Yep. This is the Shire colors. All right, the Shire colors. Shire Yellow. I'm not impressed with the yellows so far at all. Shire Olive. Again, not really enough on the dot to be able to see what the color's going to do. I hope Schmincke does better with their dot cards than they're doing. It's very disappointing when you spend money for a dot card and you can't even get the color out well enough to see what it's going to do. Air blue. Again, it's very green. Shire gray. Here's the forest set, and I thought there were some interesting colors possibly on this. This is forest olive. This is forest green. Now that's a generous dot right there. If they were all that size, you could really tell what these colors are capable of. Here's forest blue. I thought this one might be interesting. Looks like a perylene green. Forest brown, which is not brown, it's green. Forest gray, which is a greeny gray. Here's your haze. I think these are fairly new, the haze colors. This is haze pink, which is not pink at all. It's a gray. I guess maybe it has some pink pigment in it that'll show up in a little bit. Here's haze blue. Which looks like a gray. Here's haze indigo. Indigo is one of my favorite colors. Haze brown. Haze black. And the last set is the urban set, urban yellow. It's that same kind of dirty yellow. That doesn't re-wet at all. Urban red. Which also doesn't want to re-wet. I am so glad I bought this dot card, though. I saved myself a lot of money because a lot of these I was going to buy. I will not be purchasing now. So in that regard, you do save money. Urban brown. But I do think the colors have more to offer than the dot cards are showing. And I think this is a real disadvantage to the colors to be so stingy with the dots on your dot card, because it's not showing what these paints are capable of doing, especially granulating paints. You need a lot of pigment and a lot of water to make granulating paints sing and do what they should do. So that's Urban Green, that was Urban Brown. So there you have it. And there's all 50 colors. I've seen beautiful swatches of Tundra Violet. So I know Tundra Violet can granulate better than this. I know that this Tundra Green can do better than this. The Tundra Violet was another one that I was very interested in. You can see now maybe it'll do better now that it's really wet. So we'll give it another chance to do something really interesting. If you found this helpful, I hope this will help you decide if you do want any of these colors. This one's starting to granulate a little bit better there. So I think the Tundras I have a shot. I think the Galaxies, the Tundras, this group, the Deep Sea, I think maybe they have the best shot at true granulating colors, or that look of granulation. Probably better than the rest of them. So if I were going to purchase any of these, it would probably be from this set right here. So I hope you found this helpful.